Dynasty Warriors Origins is the 10th game excluding spin-offs in the franchise, which dates back to 1997 with the first game, which was actually a fighting game, not a Muso game, as those that have followed it have been. Origins is a reboot of sorts, making some changes to the formula that the series has followed. It released elsewhere last year and is about to release on the Nintendo Switch too. Is it going to be a case of Muso or Moose No? Well, thank you to the publishing team for the review code, and now let's find out. Story-wise, as has been the case with the games thus far, it's based on the Chinese novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. What's different this time around though is that the period of time that this game focuses on is much smaller, allowing the story to delve deeper into certain events, as it doesn't have to cover such a large period of time. It's the first half of the novel that's covered in this game, hence the dropping of the numbering system for the title and the word Origins being used. And what else is new here is that rather than choosing from a number of established historical figures, as has been the case in the series over the years, you instead play as an amnesiac wanderer, interacting with these characters and joining forces or coming to blows with them instead. Now, I've played a few of the Dynasty Warriors games over the years, but I wouldn't class myself as a fan of the series, so I don't know what the general consensus of this change was. I could see it not being popular with fans who wanted to play as the characters they'd grown to love over the years, but I will say that I did find it interesting to play as this blank slate character, who is slotted into this alternative reality, if you like, to see how these events would play out in this reimagined timeline. Moving on to the gameplay then, and as I mentioned, it is a Muso game with a heavy emphasis on hack and slash combat. However, don't discount the amount of strategy that is needed to get anywhere serious as you play. Your character is on a mission to unite China, and the first port of call is the uprising of the Yellow Turbans, and you have an overworld map that you'll walk around, travelling to different provinces, visiting towns and taking on various quests, be they main objectives or side quests. When you do enter into a combat situation, there will be objectives that lead to victory or defeat, of course, and for the most part these are tied to defeating a general within the battle whilst keeping your general safe from harm, and the leading figures will meet before each major battle to discuss the strategy being used. Now, you do only control your character for the most part, although later in the game you do have the ability to give certain tactical commands, such as firing volleys of arrows, that sort of thing, but most of the time it is just you. Your allies will get embroiled in battles on the battlefield, and the game will show how these battles are going. If the battle marker is shown in blue, then your allies are winning, but if red begins to become the dominant colour, then they are under severe pressure and you may need to go and assist them. Now, I mentioned hack and slash, and anyone that's played a Dynasty Warriors game before, or any such Warriors game, will know that that is a big part of the experience. You will learn new moves and combos as you level up, as well as being able to acquire new battle arts, special moves that you can use, and also put points into certain skills that will make your character stronger. Battles are a lot more strategic than the game perhaps will get credit for. On a surface level, it does look as if button mashing will get you through, and when you're cutting through waves of low-rank foes, this is definitely the case. However, each battlefield is full of generals or higher-ranked officers that you'll need to defeat, and trying to button mash your way through these will only lead to your demise. You'll need to make use of your special moves or battle arts, as well as blocking and evading, and you can parry attacks if you time your block just right, and this will be a major string to your bow as you take these officers down. Doing so builds morale for your side, and obviously losing generals will see morale drop, and this can really turn the tide of battle. The battle maps themselves are large and varied, and you'll need to keep an eye on the map in the bottom right hand corner to check when your allies are in trouble and assist them as best as you can. It feels amazing when you're in a battle that's going completely wrong. You feel that defeat is the only real outcome and somehow you manage to turn it around. Now, the game does help you in this regard, in that if you do fall in battle, you have a couple of options. One is that you can watch an overview of the battle to see if there were any moments where you could have improved or done something different, and you can then restart the battle from certain checkpoints, with the game showing you how morale was at that moment, etc. So you can choose a moment where you feel you could perhaps have more of an impact and turn defeat into victory. I really liked the way this worked. Some of this is not new to the Dynasty Warriors series, I appreciate, but I'm pretty sure some of the things that I've mentioned have been added for this particular game. Whilst the lowest rank foes are still fodder to your sword or any of the other weapons that you pick up, there are a nice variety of weapons that you can use, therefore improving your proficiency with. The battles with the officers or high-ranking generals are a different kettle of fish and do take some serious thought if you don't want to keep dying. Control-wise, things are nicely marked out for the most part, with a lot of the moves that you'd need showcased on the UI. There were a couple of small grievances, nothing massive. You have to click the left stick in to call your horse once you have one, which could be easy to do accidentally in the heat of battle. And a lot of the combos were very similar, which means it was difficult to really nail some of them down, which could lead to those accusations of it being a button masher. Gameplay, I must say, is a huge amount of fun. I'm not a huge authority on Dynasty Warriors as a series, so I don't know how much has been tweaked or improved for this particular game, but what I will say is that I love the strategic element of having that plan before you went into battle and then you making decisions to assist allies as and when you felt they needed it and living or dying by the consequences. Your actions will change the story as it goes on as well. And on the whole, gameplay gets 18 out of 20. Controls, as I mentioned, are pretty good for the most part, with just a couple of grievances here and there. They get 16 out of 20. Moving on to the visuals and performance then, and it's safe to say that Dynasty Warriors Origins is a very good looking game. The overworld map looks lovely, and as I mentioned already, the battlefields themselves are quite varied. The cutscenes look great and do a good job of connecting everything together. They are quite frequent. This is more of a story-heavy game than you would perhaps know if you weren't familiar with the series and expecting just mindless action, but they never outstay their welcome, and they give you a good grasp of exactly what's going on. Looking at performance, now the game does have two modes available to you. You can set a variable frame rate or a fixed frame rate. If you're fixing it, it's locked at 30 frames per second. A variable frame rate will aim for 60, and to be fair, it does achieve this a fair amount of the time, although there were some drops when the action got hectic, or for things such as moving the camera around whilst in those battle moments. That being said, for the vast majority of the time, these weren't major drops, and it felt great to just plow through these enemies and see them shoot off into the air as you get your 1000th kill or wherever it may be. And aside from testing the 30 out, I played with the variable frame rate for my whole playthrough, much preferred it over the lock 30, feeling it assisted the action much more, even with a few drops in mind. There is some cross-hatching on character models during those cutscenes, owing to that upscaling in resolution. I know that DLSS was used for some other versions of Dynasty Warriors Origins on release. I don't know if that is the case in the Switch 2 version. I couldn't find confirmation either way. To be fair, it's fairly unobtrusive. But one other thing I did notice that was a bit odd was that the text on screen at times did seem as if the resolution here was a lot lower, making the text a little blurry. This is a shame because for the most part the presentation here is top notch. In terms of the audio, you have a mix of traditional music and high-octane action music that doesn't really pertain to the time period that the game is set in. I found this a bit jarring myself. Some people might like it. But either way, the music as a whole is of a high standard. And when it comes to voice acting options, you have the choice of English or Japanese. I played through with the Japanese voices on. I've heard samples of the English voices in other videos. I didn't like it as much as the Japanese, I must say. I do find it a bit odd that there wasn't a Chinese option, bearing in mind the source material. But again, what's here is of a good standard. Visuals look fantastic, and the frame rate, as far as I'm concerned, holds up for the most part. It's nice to have the option of variable or fixed at 30, and it gets 19 out of 20. Audio is very good. I just felt at times it was a little out of place for the time period, even if it did build up the action segments in a more appropriate way. On the whole, it gets 17 out of 20. Dynasty Warriors Origins costs £54.99 and regional equivalents are on your screen now. For this price, you are getting a game that could last you anywhere between 35 to 50 odd hours, with more on top of that if you want to find everything, do all the side missions, etc, etc. And personally, I do feel that you are getting your money's worth if you're paying this price. Now, there is an issue with repetition, but not to the degree that I would feel some people may look at the game and expect, because there is a heavier strategic element than you may first realise. Having said that, you are still doing the same thing a lot of the time, although introducing things such as tactical commands of your allies or bodyguards as you go in through the game does help to change things up a tad. But there's also the issue of there being no multiplayer of any description, locally or online. This feels like an odd choice, more so than anything else, and could harm the longevity of the game for some people. Production values are also very high though, and on the whole I really enjoyed my time with this game, I must say. Value gets 15 out of 20. To conclude, Dynasty Warriors Origins is a game I very much enjoyed playing. As I said, I have played a few of the games in the past, some of the spin-offs, but also some of this mainline series, but this is the best game I've played in the series by far. It's also nice to see this running so well and looking so good on the Switch too, and I definitely recommend this to fans of the series or anyone that fancies an epic battle or two of a Saturday afternoon. Dynasty Warriors Origins gets a SwitchUp score of 85%. There you have it, that's my review of Dynasty Warriors Origins. Do let me know down below if this is a game you're going to pick up. And don't forget, if you're looking for eShop credit to do just that, you can use our website switchup.gg to get your eShop card, and doing so will get you 5% off your purchase price back as cashback. And there are links down there to places such as Play Asia if you're looking to import any games. Again, use our link and code and you'll get yourself 5% off of your purchase price from there. Thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.